Hi guys, this is Mr. Tan, and today we're looking at business research, and we're focusing on data collection methods and data analysis from quantitative primary research. So we're going to be covering planning for analysis, organizing the data, and doing the analysis with appropriate analytical method and tools. So on completion of this module, some of the learning outcomes would include to assess and apply techniques and processes used to investigate an important strategic or organizational issue or problem. Plan and propose a research project and critically analyze a business problem using both practitioner and academic material. Module learning outcomes, part of it includes critically reflect on established literature, evaluate and apply critical management thinking to a contemporary organizational issue or problem, and collect and critically evaluate data, formulate appropriate conclusions and recommendations. So quantitative data analysis, and it is making sense of the numbers to permit meaningful interpretation. And usually if we do, quantitative data collection, usually we're taking a sample size from a defined population, and then the sample size, as long as it's large enough and done in an unbiased way, will then be able to be used to make inferences of the defined population. And this really involves organizing the data, doing the calculations, interpreting the information lessons learned, and explaining the limitations of the research. So the planning process for the analysis, includes, the types of data, the types of formatting, and the types of analysis. So planning for analysis, collect the data, type of data that is most appropriate to answer your question and fits the parameters of your project in terms of budget and personnel, but also making sure that you're meeting the terms of the question or hypothesis or the problem or opportunity for the business, and also ensuring that it fits into the literature review in terms of what you're researching. Analytical software for quantitative data analysis includes SPAS, STATA, LISTREL, SMART, AMOS, and various others. Types of quantitative data, primary data, survey questionnaires, and then you also have secondary data from annual reports, databases like the Office of National Statistics, Morningstar Intelligence, FAME, World Bank, and so on and so forth. Organizing the data, organize all forms, questionnaires in one place. Check for completeness and accuracy. Remove those that are incomplete or do not make any sense. And assign a unique identifier to each form questionnaire. It's very important because then you can go back to see if there are any abnormal and differences or standard deviations which kind of differ from the norm, and if it does, then you can then trace it back to that one questionnaire to see the data from that respondent. Enter your data by hand or by computer in terms of Excel spreadsheets, Microsoft Access, a database, a quantitative analysis, SPSS, statistical software that allows you to analyze the data if you pre-program the fields, putting in the fields and then selecting the right fields to give you the statistical analysis of the data. Data analysis, quantitative data in terms of counts, frequencies, tallies, and statistical analysis as appropriate. So when we are doing the analysis, it's important that you know how to do the analysis by hand as well. You should know how to count frequencies in order to calculate percentages, calculate the mean, the mode, the median. which is the average, most frequently occurring, and the middle, the range, the standard deviation, the variance, rankings, cross-tabulation, the coefficient of variation, and various others. So these are not difficult to calculate, this is something that you do need to know how to calculate. So doing the analysis, do you want to know how many individuals checked each answer? That's the frequency. Do you want the proportion of people who answered in a certain way? So you're looking for a percentage. Do you want to find the average number or the average score, which is the mean? Do you want the middle value in a range of values or scores, which is the median? Do you want to show a range of answers or scores, which is the range from X to Y? Do you want to compare one group to another, which is a cross tab? And do you want to report changes, from pre to post, changing the score? And do you want to show the degree to which a response varies from the mean, which is the standard deviation? So quantitative levels of analysis, univariate, simple form, describe a case in terms of a single variable. Bivariate, subgroup comparisons, describes a case in terms of two variables simultaneously. Or multivariate analysis, two or more variables simultaneously. So univariate analysis, it describes a case in which, in the terms of the distribution of attributes that comprise it, gender, number of women to the number of men, you should always begin with your analysis by running the basic univariate frequencies and checking to be sure data were entered correctly. Univariate analysis, you can use frequency distributions and also measures the central tendency for the mean, median, and mode. So if we look at the example of a univariate analysis, from an example here we can see the abstinence, condoms, inceptables, no plant, pill, and none, and then you've got the numbers of 14, 47, 1, 35, and 307, which totals 405. And then we can see the inquiries by county and on the bar chart onto the right. So here you can see it by county. Yellow for A, blue for C, and red for B. So we can see this example of a univariate analysis. Bivariate analysis describes a case in terms of two variables simultaneously. Example, gender, attributes towards equality of men and women. How does a respondent gender affect his or her attitude towards equality for men and women? So here, and also you also can use cross tabulations and correlations. The degree that one variable is affected by another. Bivariate analysis data can be stored in a table with two columns. Interpreting the information, numbers do not speak for themselves. For example, what does it mean when 55 youth reported a change in behavior? Or 25% of participants rated the program a 5 and 75% rated it a 4. What do these numbers mean? So interpretation, of the process of attaching meaning to the data. So continuous variables are typically made into, categorical variables for this type of analysis. Recode variables. For example, you create the age between 18 to 34, 35 to 50, 51 to 65, and 66 years plus. Then you can see how many the respondents within each of these categories were there in terms of from a percentage perspective. Multivariate analysis of more than two variables simultaneously, can be used to understand the relationship between multiple variables more fully. And most typically, regression analysis. Ordinal, technical, inappropriate, but it happens. Continuous dummy variables. Type of regression analysis will depend on the type of variables. Continuous or logistic. So if we look at here, no relationship between sex and acceptance for either program, so no evidence of discrimination. Why? More females apply for the English program, but it is hard to get into. More males apply to engineering, which has a higher acceptance rate than English. So you're going to need to look deeper into the single cross tab to find this out. So here we're on the table to the right, you can see you have the engineers, males and females, acceptance, refuse, and so on and so forth. So more you need to look deeper into this to find out what is actually happening. So thank you today from Mr. Tan.